Welcome back, drawing buddies. This week we're going to do Miles Morales' Spider-Man from pencils to inks to colors. So if that sounds like a great way to spend 23 minutes or so, then let's draw. Okay, so I did the Spider-gwen, and now I'm going to do Miles. And then in a month or so I'm going to do another Peter. I drew regular Peter Parker Spider-Man as my first video, so I didn't want to do him yet. But I want to make them all in this style with this type of background so that they all fit together for my little bugaboo's bedroom, because they already got the Gwen hanging up. So figure I'd do the rest of the Spider people from the Spider-Verse movie. Well, at least the main ones. So that's going to be the idea for these. So Miles Morales, his first appearance was in Ultimate Fallout number 4. I think that was in 2011. Don't quote me on that, though. Might have been earlier. And he is from the Ultimate Universe. Back in the early 2000s, Marvel's like, our continuity is a mess, and we just want to tell regular old school Spider-Man stories. So Michael Brian Bendis, whatever his name is, he started a new Spider-Man series called Ultimate Spider-Man. It started from scratch, and it was Peter Parker. And he went around doing normal Spider-Man stuff. You know, by the 2010s or whatever, it was, running its course, and they decided they were going to freshen it up a little. And since it wasn't 616 Peter, they were able to kill off Spider-Man. And when they did, Miles got bit by the spider and got spider powers. And when he heard about the fight with Peter, he ran out to go help him. And he didn't get there in time, and he found Peter Parker, on the verge of death, and told him that he was going to not let him down, and he was going to be Spider-Man. And so Miles Morales then became the Spider-Man of the Ultimate Universe. And what happens with all kinds of fun things like that when they get popular? They were kind of ending the Ultimates universe. But what are we going to do with Miles? People like Miles. So they folded him into the regular 616 verse. I forgot how that happened. I didn't actually read any of those, because that was actually at a time where I wasn't doing anything with comics. I wasn't buying back issues. I wasn't drawing anything. It was just a weird time, and I had no time for anything other than work and being a dad and stuff. So everything else that I did kind of fell to the wayside, and comics sadly was one of them. But I have owned a few copies of the first appearance of Miles Morales, because every once in a while I'll go to a local comic show and someone will be there selling their old comic collection. And they'll have things for like $2, $3, $5. I mean, I have bought one for I think $120 once, or $50. It used to be $50 all the time before the world ended in 2020. But I would buy first Miles Morales all the time. Sometimes they'd be $10, sometimes they'd be $50, and I'd buy them, and sometimes I'd have them graded. Sometimes I would just sell them as is, depending on what I paid for them and what they were going for. And I kept one for a long time, but when the prices spiked during the pandemic, I said, I guess it's time to let this go. So I did. But yeah, and there was one time, I mean, it still exists, there was a 1 in 25 variant of Ultimate Fallout 4. And that thing was going for ridiculous money. It was going for a copy of Amazing Fantasy 15 money. First appearance Peter Parker Spider-Man. I mean, a lower grade copy. I think it was selling for $25,000 or $40,000 for a 9.8. And the funny thing about that variant is nobody had it, but Five Below started selling comic packs for $5. And they were all variant covers that didn't sell from Diamond Distributors, and they bought them all super cheap. They put them in 5-packs, and they sold them for $5 a pack. And in those packs, some of those packs, you got the 1 in 25 variant for what was it called? Ultimate Fallout 4. And so some people just randomly got, a comic that at one time was worth tens of thousands of dollars in a $5 pack that they bought at Five Below. It's kind of funny, because I wasn't buying comic books when they had those, but I saw them because I used to go to Five Below with a friend of mine, and she would always go there to buy random $5 things. And I saw the comics, oh, that's cool, these are variant covers, I should get one. I'm like, I don't need them. But I wonder if I would have been lucky enough to get one of those Ultimate Fallout 4 variants. So Miles, on top of having Spider-Man powers, he got spider sense, he's super strong, could stick to walls. He also has a few extra powers. He has his Venom Bite, which he can shoot electricity through his body and shock you or electrocute you and all that kind of fun stuff. And he could also turn invisible, also with some kind of biomechanical thing. So Miles technically has more powers than regular Spider-Man, so that's kind of neat and cool and weird. I think they actually fought once, and Miles won. He Venom striked Peter and took him out. I mostly know Miles from the Spider-Verse movies because I'm a poser. But I do think that the Edge of Spider-Verse and the other one, Beyond the Spider-Verse, Edge of Spider-Verse, whatever they call them, those are the two best Spider-Man movies made so far. I will fight anybody on that. They're better than the Tobey Maguires. They're better than the Andrew Garfields. They're better than the Tom Hollands, even though there's a new one coming out. That trailer just dropped today. So that movie might be really cool because the trailer looks cool and it looks like Spider-Man actually gets to be Spider-Man and not a lackey for Tony Stark, which bothered the hell out of me about the MCU Spider-Man movies because, you know, Spider-Man was never a lackey for Tony Stark. He did his own thing. He made his own web shooters. He made his own outfits. He had his own tech. He was smart enough to do it. He didn't need... Oh, the pencils are done. It is time to ink Miles Morales Spider-Man. And the inks go really quick on this too. The longest part of this video is the coloring in the background. In the background, I had to do on my computer because loading fonts into the iPad, I don't know how to do it. I mean, I did it once and then the font disappeared. It didn't hold. So I don't know. I gotta look into that and figure it out. So the background, I kind of pieced it together, the basics of it in the computer, and then I brought it into Clip and did some stuff. You'll see that when we get to it. And I also did the red inking on here too because I figured it was just easier than doing it in black and then figuring out how to make it red later. So, well, what was I talking about? Oh, the Spider-Verse movies. Yeah, I love them. They are definitely the best Spider-Man movies so far anyway. I don't know. Brand new day might change my mind on that, but so far, you know, and I love the intros. Like, all right, let's do this again one more time, and they tell the origin of Miles or the Peter Parker of Miles' universe before Miles became Spider-Man. And the second one started out with Gwen telling her story. So yeah, it's pretty cool. A friend of mine came over the other day, and she had some old plushies of Gwen, a Funko Pop one and another one, and some Cheshire Cats. And she gave them to me to give to the little buggerboo. So the next day I had to babysit her, and I gave her the plushies. And oh my God, she was so excited. She's jumping up and down, and she's like, "Oh my God, Gwen!" So yeah, she loves her Spider-Gwen. And then I drew this Miles, and I said, "Oh, I also drew a picture for your room that I got to print out." And she's like, "Ooh," because she likes looking through my photo albums on my phone. And I'm like, "Who's that?" She goes, "That's Miles." And she had like a nice happy smile on her face. I said, "Do you want me to print that out for your room?" And she goes, "Yes." So that was kind of cool. It sounded creepy the way I did it because I don't sound like a 2.5-year-old girl, but she was very excited. So sometime next week I got to go down to a local print shop and print this out at 18 by 24 inches so I could frame it and give it to her to hang on her wall to go at Gwen. And then we'll do Peter. And I'll ask her father if I should print out Spider-Punk 2 since we did him a couple months ago, and that one was a really fun drawing. So we will cover her room in Spider People and K-Pop Demon Hunters because she loves her K-Pop Demon Hunters too. And I will draw the rest of the K-Pop Demon Hunters, but that who did I draw? I drew Murray. I drew the lead one. And that video did terrible. It was like literally the worst viewed video I did. And since I did it, I haven't really gotten back on track. Every once in a while, I'll have a good day. But drawing a K-pop Demon Hunter, I figured that would be a slam dunk, right? Super popular, won an Oscar. But then nobody watched Murray. It wasn't Murray. Who did I draw? Pause. Okay, I'm back. I didn't draw Murray. I drew Rumi. My brain. We haven't watched Demon Hunters in a while. She hasn't wanted to watch it, so I'm a little hazy on who's who in that universe. But I have to draw the other two because she needs the posters for her room. So, and I'm going to draw those in a way where I could combine it into one poster or 3 separate posters. It's going to be pretty damn cool. And I still have, I think I got to do Donatello. So I think next week is going to be the Rocketeer, because that's going to be my anniversary video. Hopefully people will watch the Rocketeer. I have no idea, but I love the Rocketeer. So like Scud, I'm doing it for selfish reasons. And then I have Ghost Rider, and I am going to piece together the Raphael video so I could get the turtles going, since I finally figured out how to piece all them together. That's going to be a long video. The Raphael video is probably going to be at least an hour long, so strap yourselves in for that one. But it's a really, really cool drawing. I think I did better than I did on the Donatello one, which started it all. And I also sketched in just the very super basic shapes for Leonardo and Michelangelo to finish the 4 drawing piece. So that's going to be super awesome. I think I'm going to print myself one out like double size, so it'll be, what will that be, 36 by 48 inches. I don't know how the heck I'm going to frame that, but it's going to be super cool. Maybe I'll make one copy and bring it to Terrificon this year. So if any of you come to Terrificon and you want a giant turtle print, I might make one copy. It'll have to be expensive though, because I'm sure that print's going to not be cheap. I also set up my printer, finally, the big one, the 13 by 19 inch print with the 11 by 17 inch scanner. And I've been printing out a drawing a day on it. Oh man, I think I used a lot of ink. And I'll print out one of these, and I've been readjusting them so they're 12 by 18 inches, full bleed. So that's pretty cool. So Spider-Verse, Miles Morales, he's just your regular old kid. He's going to, you know, a magnet school down in New York. He doesn't want to. He just wants to go to normal school with his friends, but you know, his family wants what's best for him, so that's what he's doing. And his uncle is the Prowler, but he's also like a graffiti artist, and Miles does art on the side. So his uncle takes him to Uncle Aaron, takes him to do some graffiti underneath the subways on a blank wall where, you know, you can't get in trouble because it's just abandoned down there and whatnot. And he does his thing, and while he's doing his graffiti and they're getting ready to leave, Miles gets bit by a radioactive spider, kind of like Peter did, except Peter wasn't doing graffiti. He was in a lab somewhere. So they make a big deal out of it, like something is going to go catastrophically and dramatically wrong, but no, it just bites him and he's like, ow, and he hits it, wipes it off, the spider's dead, and they leave. Next morning, he wakes up sweaty. He hears his own voice in his head really loud, and he feels taller and stronger, and he thinks he's going through puberty. And it's pretty darn funny. And he runs into Gwen, because Gwen got pushed into his universe when Kingpin activated the Hydra Collider cauldron thing. And his hand gets stuck to her hair, and he can't release it because he doesn't know how to use his spider powers yet. And it's a little awkward and funny, and they end up having to shave his hand off of Gwen's head, and that gives her the cool haircut she has throughout the whole movie. And then Peter goes back to find out what the heck's going on. He finds the spider, and he hears voices, and he goes in, and he finds Kingpin's Collider. And Spider-Man's there fighting the ultimate Hobgoblin and the ultimate, I think, Scorpion and all those. And he runs into Spider-Man. Spider-Man sees him, and their spider senses go off together. And there's a neat little thing if you're paying attention. Oh, hold on. Inks are done. It is time to color Miles Morales Spider-Man. This is the fun part of this one, because the colors, I didn't go out of my way to do anything crazy as far as highlights. I just did basic shadowing, but then I added the cool dot texture to give it kind of the grungy look of the movie and everything. And it came out really cool. I'm very happy with this one. I don't know if you could see that in the video when it's done, but it's definitely there, and I'm hoping it shows up in the prints. Because sometimes when you do the subtle stuff, it kind of washes away when you print it, because I'm not using any particular color grading. I'm just kind of guessing and hoping for the best. I'm not one of those color snobs who will make copies 10 times till the color's right. I'm like, oh, close enough. Then I move on. But yeah, there's a cool part where the Peter Parker of his universe, I forgot what number the universe is, I'll have to check that out, and Miles, where their spider senses start interacting and they realize, you're like me, you're a spider person. But Miles, originally his colors are green and purple, and then they shift to red when he meets Spider-Man, and they sync up with their spider senses. So in his universe, Miles was going to eventually become the Prowler, a villain. But since he got bit by the spider, it turned him into the Spider-Man in that universe, because the Peter Parker in his universe then gets killed by the Kingpin, and it's sad, and Miles is like, I can't let Spider-Man die again. I have to do the right thing. But he was never supposed to be Spider-Man in the first place. If he never got bit by the spider, their universe's Peter would still be alive. And it's just this weird mess. They explain that in the second movie. And it turns out the spider that bit Miles was from another universe. And because the spider got pulled into Miles' universe by the Hydra Collider that the Kingpin made, because he's trying to bring his wife and his son back from another dimension because they died in this dimension. That's so confusing, but it's so good at the same time. That universe doesn't have a Spider-Man. So Miles is technically in the wrong universe, is the wrong Spider-Man. But now he's his world Spider-Man, and I'm sure they'll figure that all out. And the next movie, which is in production now, was supposed to be out like 2 years ago, because I think when I saw the second one in the theaters, it said Part 3, whatever, of the Spider-Verse will be out, I think in like March 2024, 25, and that was in like 2022 or 2023. So they definitely missed their deadline in that one, but I don't care, because if you watch the first Spider-Verse movie and the second Spider-Verse, there's a huge jump in the quality of the animation and the way they tied it all together. So I'm sure there's going to be another huge jump in the look between Part 2 and Part 3. So take your time, guys, and make a great movie. That's all I got to say, because so far you guys are killing it and making the best Spider-Man movies out there. I also wanted to draw Miles in the hoodie and everything to match the Spider-Gwen. So I went with that too. I kind of did my own thing. I didn't exactly copy the look that he had in the movie, but it's close. And I dig it, and I dig the background on this one. I kind of, you can't really see it, but if you look in the corner there, the color picture, behind him it says Miles Morales in a graffiti font that I found. But you can't really read it because he's covering it, and then Spider-Man a few times around him. So, and that's consistent with the Spider-Gwen, except I didn't write anything in graffiti. It just says Spider-Gwen all over the background in the same font in different colors. Kind of torn though when I do the Peter Parker one. Do I do just a regular Spider-Man, or do I do Spider-Man with the big old gut and the sweatpants? Because apparently the Peter Parker Spider-Man in that one, the alternate version who comes in with the gut and everything that helps Miles, I guess he's 616 Spider-Man adjacent. So he's the regular 616 comic Spider-Man, but 10 or 15 years in the future. At least that's what I read in a thing, so I think that's true. I'm going to say it's true. If it's not true, please tell me in the comments if you got this far into the video. But yeah, I don't know if I'm just going to draw a regular old Peter Parker Spider-Man like I did in the first one with the same similar background and swinging and looking all cool and stuff. Or if I'm going to go with more of the movie look where he's older and less fit and stuff. We will decide when we get there. And a friend, well, not really, well, I guess he's a friend of mine. He's somebody comments on all my videos, and I did know him when we were growing up. When I was growing up, he, I don't know if I should be doxing people like that. That's why I'm like, is he your friend or not? But yeah, he is. He wanted me to draw Captain Carrot, which I should draw because Art Adams did one of his first published works was in a Captain Carrot book. But he's like, all right, since you're not going to draw Captain Carrot, I request Spider-Ham. And that I might actually do as a quickie, because it would fit this whole theme for the Bugger's Room. I don't know if I'd print that one out as big, but it would be cool. And Spider-Ham's kind of fun, and he would not take long to draw at all. That would be a friggin' 10-minute video. Although probably not, because even on the quickies, I spend way too much time figuring out the poses and all that. And as always, the longest part of drawing any spider person is drawing the spaghetti webbing. So thank you, Todd McFarlane, for making spaghetti webbing a thing. But it looks awesome, so I can't be mad at him, and it's actually pretty fun to draw. It's just a little time consuming. But I pretty much got a pattern down now when I'm drawing it, so it's not as crazy as McFarlane's, but it's still cool, and it's still fun, and it's still crazy. It's just I don't draw it going in every single direction like he did. Oh, he would have webs everywhere. And the story goes, the editors would be like, would you cut the crap with the webbing? You don't need to put this much webbing. It's ridiculous. And he would just say, okay, no problem. And then he would draw twice as much webbing in the next issue. It's like, what the heck? So I thought that was pretty fun and pretty cool and pretty ballsy of Todd to do that, because at the time he wasn't really that popular. He was just the new guy drawing Spider-Man. But he quickly became a fan favorite and kind of changed the whole look of Spider-Man for an era at least. And I still kind of take a lot of cues from him when I draw Spider-Man because I like the bigger eyes. I don't go as big as he did, but I just, that was the Spider-Man I grew up with, so always did the big eyes. Yeah, here's the background. That's how it originally looked when I did it in Photoshop on my desktop, but I'm sure I could record the screen on that. I mean, I do it for the gorilla. I just don't know how that would work. But then I'm like, all right, we gotta first make the webbing visible, and then, you know, I make the background black and then purple and all that fun stuff to make it all pop. And I put a green glowy dot thing behind Miles because the white I didn't think did a good enough job of making them pop, and yellow was kind of like but man, a lime green look good. I don't know how I'm gonna resize this to fit on a 13 by 19 to print it out on the new printer though. I'm gonna have to figure that out, but one thing at a time. I'll worry about that tomorrow. Tonight I gotta get this video done so that it goes up Friday, because tomorrow I'm going to the movie see Hail Mary with a friend of mine because that looks really good. And we haven't been to the movies in a while, so catch up time. So yeah, I left a lot more of this background thing in here than I thought I would because it wasn't like super necessary, but I figure you guys should see, you know, more than just the drawing and see how these backgrounds come together too. So I left a lot of that in there. So yeah, Miles tries to become Spider-Man, then he meets the Peter Parker who got sucked into our universe, the one I was just talking about, who's 6'1", adjacent. He's a 20-year older version of regular Spider-Man. He's down on his luck. Mary Jane left him. He's depressed. And he gets sucked through the portal to Miles' universe to help out. And he does. And they save the day. At least in the first movie. And the Collider and Miles awakens and his powers come through. And he comes into his own. And he becomes the Spider-Man of his universe. And I don't know what happened, but the screen just went completely black in the middle of that sentence. I deleted the part where I started swearing and was wondering what the heck was happening. I guess I had this in the background, and I was talking so long without cuts that the screen went to sleep. Huh. How about that? But anyway, Spider-Man Miles Morales is done. And I should do another video of him because I have a whole second movie to talk about. But like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Thanks for coming along. And go out and draw something. And I will see you all next week.